Bro, that's been a phenomenal call. I didn't expect it.
I'm glad, man. I'm happy.
I didn't expect to receive all that. By the way, I'm gonna have to you give me more to think about, because I didn't even process what the conversation I had earlier with that woman. And it's funny you say that, because I picked up another woman who was a little bit older.
Yeah.
And I don't know what we were talking about, but we ended up. She said she she doesn't think she's gonna have children, or she doesn't want to have children. And I asked her why. She goes, I met people at the wrong time, or I didn't meet the right person when I wanted children. And she goes, as I've dated and got a little bit older, there's certain things I'm not tolerating.
Exactly.
Absolutely not.
Yep, it comes with time. Like in your 20s and stuff, you're supposed to be like learning all this stuff, but you just have to thank God that you haven't hit your 50s and then realize it, you know?
Because that thought remained with me as to, wow, like, you've got to a certain age and there's certain things. She was, I'm happy with she was, I've got to the point in life where I'm so happy with myself, I'm unsure what I'm going to do when I start dating someone. I don't know if I'm going to allow someone to encourage.
That's a good thing, because you don't want any and anybody in your space. Like, you should be mad picky, because, you know, it's good for you. And then you find someone who's special, and then you know how to treat it, because you know what you want.
Me, you, and the driver, we gotta get this photo together. We gotta get this selfie. Oh, open it. Have you got a bag? A bag for fucking what? You grocery shopping or something? You doubling up on these bags? I was like, wow, women are incredible. I've been out here every single weekend since I've been doing this, picking up people who have had amazing nights. Off, mum, I'm sleeping. I'm staying here. Leave me alone. I mean, I've always said this anyway, that this thing has killed me, but I can see I've aged. I look at my beard, mad grey hairs. It is mad.
Mama, I'll be really tired.
I'll tell you, wait a second, let me just. You shouldn't even read this the whole time. Like, it says hi. It says smile. It says I hope you're having a lovely day. See, I did the opposite. I've been telling you to be quiet because we get in trouble more when we go to Uber because my children make too much noise. And they're like, I'm trying to concentrate. So I'm always default, let's be quiet in the car, be silent. I'm a very chatty person.
I think it's Amanda.
Huh?
Amanda.
What does that mean, baby?
Amanda means when your menu and the happiness menu.
What's a happiness menu?
Like this.
Are you calling this a happiness menu?
Yeah.
Is this something that you've heard before?
Yeah.
What was it? Do you want to ask our driver a question?
Driver, what are these on the seat?
Sorry, say that again?
What are these on the seat?
Oh, they're, I would call them almost like maybe cue cards and almost reminders as to what has made you happy, and maybe a reminder almost to be grateful in some respect.
That's nice. What makes you happy? Okay, about not just stuff that I give you, what makes you happy? Something that I didn't give to you, so something like not sweets or toys or presents, or something that mummy does for you that you like. What makes you happy? Okay, what makes you happy? Should I tell you what makes mummy happy? What makes me really happy is when people tell me what good manners you have. What makes me really happy is when you wake up in a great mood and you have a fantastic morning before you leave the house. And what makes me happy is the sun.
My happy is the rain.
The rain makes you happy? Really?
Yeah.
What, even when we're walking home from nursery and you get wet? No, that's not true, because you cried. You cried the last time that happened.
Why? It's a lot. Okay, I like it. No, I like it.
Do you want to ask the driver what makes the driver happy?
What you're happy?
That's a good question. So before I answer that question, in regards to the manners, it was formulating in my mind. Yeah, I knew you both had good manners. I think after a minute or so of getting in, I think maybe something your mum said, or maybe a response to something your mum said. So I was quite, yeah, it just came to me. Okay, these kids have got good manners, and they understand the spatial awareness. What makes me happy? At this moment in time, I try to be a bit grateful for maybe what I have actually. Yeah. Oh, do you know what I saw actually? Oh my god, I almost brought a tear to my eye actually. We passed, I think, a homeless man. Yeah. Probably 10 minutes ago. And I remember seeing him last night. It made me think, like, it is not easy outside at all. And I usually have change. I often give them change if I have it, but I had no change. And I remember seeing him. Saw him late last night. I saw him this morning. And for those who sometimes think it is a scam, and sometimes I'm not saying it is not a scam. Yeah. But like for some people, I could see this is really real.
Yeah, benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And also, I'm of the kind of thinking, somebody said to me, oh, they're just going to use it for drugs. And I'm like, maybe in their life, that's what's going to make them feel happy right now. So who am I to judge them? And if they're going to spend that money on drugs rather than a sandwich, then if that's, you know, so
I've not even thought about that before, but that...
Who am I to judge, you know? Because one of my friends were like, I'll never give money to homeless people. I'm like, you have no idea what they've experienced in their lives, that means that's their happiness, right? Or what makes them feel good in that moment. Yeah. And if they say they're going to get a sandwich, then they're not going to really buy a sandwich, then that's up to them. And I'm nobody to judge at all, you know? Who am I to judge? You have gone through what you've gone in life, and that's your coping mechanism. Yeah. Why?
Because my belly is hurting.
What do you mean it's hurting? Do you feel a bit nauseous? It's alright, we're nearly there. Less than 10 minutes, Mama. Okay? I know, because Mummy Honor lives a long way away now. She doesn't live around the corner anymore. She lives here now. So it takes a little bit longer.
How Mummy Honor get?
Mummy Honor gets here in the car with Bubba. Bubba's not gonna be at the party today because he had to stay at work in the white shop. Yep, so he can't come to the party.
He didn't invite.
Of course he was invited. He was invited because he wasn't invited to the party, but Bubba has got a very important job today at the white shop, so he couldn't come to the party. But today is just the party. It isn't until Thursday.
Oh.
Do you understand? It's daily negotiations with these two. All day, every day. But I'm like, do you know what? Push the boundaries with me and negotiate with me, because then it means hopefully you'll have the skill when somebody says something that you don't agree with or that you don't want to do, that you're not, you know, forced. Me and my friend were talking about yesterday that a lot of the discipline when we were growing up was based on fear and compliance. Yeah. Which great, makes for obedient and scared children, but it doesn't make for like adults who are able to sometimes like have conversations or do things that make them uncomfortable because they'd rather just be, you know, just do as they're told.
You know, that's very interesting, and I do agree with that actually. So, because I would have had that as well in some respect. Okay, I'm just outly okay. So when would we have learned that skill as to almost the switch almost flicking? Do you know, the flick? Anyway, the switch was flicking as to. So I can't even formulate the question, but I know
what you mean. Like I didn't have that. So it was. I think there's three things. It was based on compliance, fear, and making someone else feel comfortable, right? Yeah. And I, for many years, was bullied and wouldn't speak up because I wanted to be liked. I didn't want to rock the boat, and because I was happier that somebody else was comfortable over my own comfort. But now, and And that took me well into my 20s to get past that.
Yeah.
Well into my 20s. So that meant my teen years were full of, you know, a lot of like swallowing my feelings and not doing, you know, just doing what other people told me to do because I thought, okay, sure, fine. Whereas these guys, I think, what's wrong, please? Take a big deep breath. We're really nearly there. We're nearly there. Why are you crying, Mama? Do you feel sick? What do you feel? Speak your big girl voice.
So hot.
You're so hot. You can take off your carding. Oh look, Mummy Honest dropped the location as well. It's alright, Bear. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
But yeah, for every time they challenge me or answer back or ask me to explain something, when I was a kid, I didn't even think it was an option to ask somebody to explain something to me, like my parents. It was just, okay, just do it.
Yeah, I'd say so the same.
You know, okay then. Whereas now, hopefully, because they feel safe to do it with me, hopefully they'll go out in the world and ask questions, and in a respect, but still in a respectful way.
Yeah.
Not to, you know, not just to be obnoxious for the point of it. I'm nearly there, baby. What's wrong? Are you very tired today? 3 minutes. 3 minutes, my love.
And what was the switch that made you begin to be a bit more conscious of maybe not being learning to negotiate and ask those questions, I say?
Probably a couple of bad relationships.
Okay.
A couple of gaslighty guys who I did everything they said and everything that made them happy and comfortable. And I got to a point where I was like, wait a second, what am I doing here? This isn't fun. This isn't my life. Also because in other areas of my life, when it came to work, business, I'm very strong-minded and very strong-willed, and things go exactly how I want them.
Yeah.
But in a lot of my relationships, there was a lot of compliance and making somebody else comfortable. And I think I just got to a point where I was like, I probably had therapy at one point, and when I suddenly realised, oh, it's not supposed to be like this. I'm not supposed to feel miserable every day with this person on an edge and a bit worried at all times. I get it. I think that's what it was. It's probably, a couple of relationships with them, like similar red flags, and I was like,
what would those red flags been actually?
What were the red flags?
Yeah, just generally speaking.
Only coming to see me when it was convenient to them.
Okay, cool.
That's a really, never showing up, for me, when something was important for me, but every single time something was important to them, dropping and being coerced and made to feel guilty if I said, sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it on that day, and then me having to bend over backwards, turn up, and then them pretending that I wasn't there.
Cool.
And me giving everything, financially, helping out, giving loans when I knew I wasn't really going to get them back. Yeah, just that kind of stuff. And it was because at that point I wasn't completely happy with myself, so I wasn't going to attract somebody I was attracting people who were attracted to my insecurities and my weaknesses. Do you think there are men out there who are like that? I think sometimes there are men who are like that absolutely purposefully, but I think sometimes there are men like that because of the way they've been brought up. Of course there are men who are brought up well, as far as I'm concerned, to be respectful of women, to share the load financially, physically, all of that. But I think people are products of the way they've been brought up.
Okay.
Completely. Oh, this is where we're going. This is the park.
Okay, so I need to put over here somewhere.
Thank you. What do we say to our driver? So thank you so much for getting us here safely.
You're welcome.
I hope that you have a great day. That was I wish I'd read it properly earlier.
Alright, good evening.
You alright?
Uber for Owen, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks, Andrew. Oh. How's it going, man?
What's too bad on yourself? Sorry, there's a seatbelt sensor. It's probably gonna go.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's been a good night, thanks.
That's good.
First time out proper that I've been out since I broke my ankle, so.
Okay, how'd you break it?
Roller skating, bro. I realised my height and weight don't really equate to falling like that, so yeah, ankle dislocated, had to get surgery and shit. It's just long, man.
So it didn't break, it was dislocated?
It was dislocated and I fractured one of the bones, like in my shin sort of area. So when they tried to pop it back in, they tried twice and like there was too much space between the bones that keep your ankle in.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, we got to do some surgery. But it's not that invasive. It was just like a metal pole between the bones to keep it together and put it together. Yeah, and that was quick. There was like a 45-minute procedure. Once they were done with that, I just had to heal up. So I'm on the tail end of it now. So
okay, well, nice.
Yeah, it was a long 8 weeks, man. It must be sick as an Uber driver, like meeting different people and just getting to talking and then realizing that they've got the information that you need about something.
Yeah, well, I've actually written a book on my experience as a driver.
Oh, this is so sick, man.
Yeah, I got ridiculous. Yeah, so literally about 2-3. My audiobook's almost done. Just finishing it. Once I've done that, I'm gonna start releasing ridiculous amount of content.
Wow.
Yeah.
The first question is actually crazy. How do you know when someone really likes you, really loves you?
You know, my friends were so eager to actually pick up the pack the other day because I've told them about my experiences.
Yeah.
So I've seen that question. So I don't know. I don't think I answered it, if I'm honest. No. So I would say is what they do for you ultimately. Not ultimately. What they do for you, I think, definitely counts for a lot in terms of like them leading with their heart or being prepared to go above and beyond for you. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I think away from those initial feelings of like being happy or being with someone or beginning to fall in love with someone or just being in a relationship, I feel you feel there's not an obligation, but you just do things for people. But after that initial period, like if you're then willing to then go above and beyond for someone, then I think that's a sign that someone cares about you or really cares about you.
That's true. I think love is a tough one because it's a bit
it's different forms of love. I think everyone expresses love in a different way.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Like the way that people express love to you might not actually be the way you need it.
Correct.
Or the way that you could actually thrive from it. So people have all learnt their ways of like surviving when dealing with a loved one. They might have done that through their parents or through siblings or other family members or whoever, and then they just have those things internalized, and then they just express that towards anyone that they have feelings for. And it's subconscious. It's all stuff that you just do because if you haven't really thought about how you've actually learned how to love, then when you do it, you might actually be hurting the person subconsciously.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I feel like being in situations myself is just like, and listening to girls talk that I've talked to and like fell in love with and fell in love with me, it's just like you realize that it's not a case of the things that I'm feeling as a result of their love that makes me feel bad. That it's not a case that they're doing it on purpose because they're like, oh, actually, no, I don't love you. I'm actually hurting you because I'm manipulating you. But when people feel that love aspect and they think back to whatever neural networks in their head that they formed as like kids that through people that they loved, when they regurgitate that on you, it's just subconscious because they feel that that's normal and that's how they feel normal. Anything else just feels weird. So I feel like, how do you know when someone really loves you? Is like when someone's doing something that they don't even understand, or they don't even like comprehend their actions, or like they're just doing what comes naturally to them and it's just honest from them, you know? So
you said a few things which made me have a few questions, but I wanted to make sure I heard you out before I asked my question. So my friends who were in the car the other day, one of them, in fact both of them agree with this, and I think one of them said it, I'm not too sure who said it, but they said, like, for example, what you may deem as really important or good for you, like it might be very, very simple for your partner, and it might not actually be a way of them actually expressing their love for you, if that makes any sense, despite the fact
I understand what you mean. Yeah,
despite the fact that it means a lot to you. So
yeah, it means a lot to them, but to you that's just normal.
Yeah,
Well,
or
that's
even
just
vice
how-
versa, as to like, for them
yeah.
it's normal behavior, but for you it really means a lot.
Right,
So it might
yeah.
not necessarily display a show of love. It might be just a
Exactly.
show of appreciation. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, sorry to cut you off, but
That's
I've
right.
been in that situation very recently where someone's looked at my actions and said that all these actions have spelled out something else and they've read it wrong. And I've just been like, that's just what I do. That's just normal behavior for me. I didn't think I was doing anything above and beyond and being extra special. I was just doing what comes naturally to me. But for them, the way they read it made them feel that, oh, this is very special and this is something that's something more than what the other person thinks. So it's just about understanding that person, really, you know? I think, if we're on the same page.
It is. It's mad because I picked up someone today and we're talking about, I don't even know what we're talking about, to be fair, all right? But we fell on this subject of love, or certainly relationships, and she was saying she has learned maybe her boundaries in some respects. She didn't say boundaries, but she said she had kind of like learned what her boundaries were, maybe learned what love was in some respect. And then I ended up asking her a question as to, do you think some people go into relationships or go into situationships with the idea, knowing that they, how do I even word this? Knowing that they can control and knowing that they can manipulate people.
Right.
And I don't even know if I've got like, sorry, because I think she said she's ended up being in these situationships or relationships with people where they've maybe not had the best interests at heart for her.
Right.
And sometimes you can find yourself with someone who knows or is knowingly manipulating you because maybe you're not as confident as you should be.
For sure. I think like going down that road of meeting someone who maybe has been abandoned in the past, or maybe has looked at someone that they've loved and felt a type of way, they've just developed defense mechanisms, and one of those defense mechanisms is 1,000,000% like manipulation, and knowing how to manipulate someone into give you that attention that you crave so bad. And you learn that when you're really little, and then when you practice that so much that when you get into relationship, when you get turned to an adult and get into relationships, you just start to do that, and that comes so naturally to you that you don't even realize that you're doing it, you know? It's like dealing with people who have dealt with rejection in their past. They learn certain things they learn self-sabotage. Like if you sabotage a new relationship, that person can't reject you because you're not being vulnerable with them. So you're basically taking the power back. And that's what a lot of people do. When they've been hurt in the past, they go, okay, this is never gonna happen to me again. Like I'm not gonna trust people. I'm gonna make up situations, and it's all subconscious. They don't realize they're doing it, you know? Like that's what I feel. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's once you realize that look, you have to have your boundaries, because there's certain people that are just gonna be themselves, and if you allow that to happen, then the love that you're getting from them is gonna hurt you eventually, and then you're gonna start changing and you're gonna wonder why. But it's because you feel like you love this person and you're letting this person into your life, and they're doing things that you're just taking because you're like, well, we love each other and these are things that we're gonna have to fix, or the things that we're gonna have to deal with. That's just who she is. But subconsciously, and other people are gonna tell you, like my last relationship, my family were basically screaming at me like, bro, this one is not the one for you, you know? Like she's doing X, Y, Z. I can see from the outside that this stuff is gonna affect you in the long run. You have to remove yourself from that situation, because it's also a case of you're a type of person who is like the perfect archetype for her like self-defense mechanism from what she's been through. So if you're a helpful person, if you're an open person, a vulnerable person, someone who's not that way and has dealt with stuff in the past that has made them develop these techniques that keep people in her life, you're the perfect type of person to fall for that. And you don't know that, because you're basically feeding into that and thinking that you're getting that feedback and thinking that it's love, when it's actually just someone dealing with their stuff, falling in love with you. It is love, but the way that they're loving you and the things that they're doing as a reaction to their love to you is causing you to just be that type of person to take it, and they're just draining you until there's nothing left.
That's really interesting. So what type of person was she?
That's is a lot, because I feel like she was the type of person who needed approval for things. Like, was very much a case of she had a lot of like she needed things to be in control, and she needed control of things, and also she had a lot of like she would be distracted a lot. So like, if you can't just focus on one thing, it'll be like, okay, if there's this thing and there's this other thing, so she would create this chaos around things so that nothing is really in control, and therefore she doesn't have to like focus on what's really important, if that makes sense. So I feel like for the love we had together, it was like, there are things that we need to focus on in terms of just the actual reality of life, and things that you need to actually make sure you get rid of. Like for instance, like she had like things that she needed to answer the phone for, like whether it's like people who needed to talk to her about legal things or whatever, but she would avoid that because that stuff is basically responsibility, and that thing and those things are things that actually make a difference. But if she continues the chaos around her, it means that everything's out of control, and therefore she feels at peace because she's made peace with the chaos that she grew up with. So, and therefore when she fell in love with me and we fell in love with each other, it turned into a case of, I need things to be chaotic. I can't control things, because things, if I let things if I put a lot of like weight on things and make things very very important, that shit could get taken from me, like it's been taken from me in the past. So I'm gonna keep it chaotic so that my brain is in a mode of where the chaos is actually feeding me and making me go, okay, I know how to deal with chaos. With chaos, it's just like whatever. So anything can happen and I don't care. And when it comes down to actually caring about things, you have to face it, look it in the face and go, yeah, this is important stuff. I need to focus on this. I need to get this fixed. But if you feel like you can't do that, then you're just gonna throw a spanner in the works and just blow it up and go, well, now it's all blown up. Like, I don't have any responsibility anymore, you know?
Cool, I kind of understand that. Do you know what? It's mad because there's a number of things that you said there, like, and I mean, sometimes you shouldn't actually hold on to the initial thought or where we certainly started the conversation, because with what I explained to you, I'm still trying to process my conversation earlier.
Right.
And then I'm trying to then explain it to you, and I thought, you know what, I've not even made any sense of the conversation I've had earlier, because I'm still trying to process those thoughts.
Yeah.
So can you give me an example of what you're referring to? Because there's a part of me thinking I'm trying to process and explain to you properly what happened earlier, but actually I'm thinking I'm wasting my time because I've not even processed it properly. But at the same time, you're telling me about this relationship, which is actually really important and really interesting, because I'm thinking, there's a part of my common sense is thinking, like, why would someone go to so much length to cause chaos when there's no need for chaos? But you don't know what someone's been through in some respect. You know what I'm saying? She and how you enabled her in some respect. But
exactly, because I feel like just talking to someone, they'll tell you everything about their. Like, she was a very talkative person, and she was ready to explain everything to me and just air out any business she had. And we've like known each other for a couple of months, so it's things like just having that feeling of a kid, of being the only child and then having a sibling come and then realizing that the sibling is getting more attention, and then getting in trouble for things that weren't her fault and things like that. When I hear her tell me stories about things where she's been in trouble, been talked down to, and been like rejected based off of things that she didn't do, I realized she's going, look, I don't have control of this situation, so I'm just gonna burn everything, because at the end of the day, like, if it's all chaotic and I could like manipulate the situation so that people don't know what's actually going on, then we're all in a state of confusion. I don't want to be like, I don't want to believe that the people that love me this much are going to like not believe me, not take care of me, like, you know what I'm saying?
I 100% understand you. I'm thinking, as a part of me, trying to understand why would someone do that, but like,
yeah, I think it's just, we don't like it, everyone has different reactions, right?
100%.
Like, everyone has different reactions. So for her, she was such a unique case, because like I'd never seen anyone like that, and it made me go, oh rah, like she's actually mad special. But in the sense of it, it's like, if you've learned this way of surviving all this stuff around you,
goes back to what you're saying in terms of how you were brought up. I was just thinking that.
Yeah, literally, it all boils down to that, because you're constantly as a kid just learning how like life throws you down, and then you're learning, you're just by yourself in that, because you just get things in your head like that you've gone through when you're a kid, like 5-6 years old, that you remember so vividly, and you have a reaction to that. And then when you have that initial reaction, it just forms in your mind. You lash out, and then that's how you react to everything. You just lash out, or you internalize.
Yeah,
like I'm definitely a person who internalized. Like I grew up with a father who was like quite loud and quite energetic, and then if I was in trouble, it was a big thing. And so I was an internalizer because I avoided conflict. I didn't want that conflict. I didn't want him to raise his voice and things like that. So that's also gone into my like personal life, my work, my relationships and things like that, where I just allow things to happen. So if you go with someone who's boisterous and goes, no, I'm going to outwardly throw out energy and just make everything chaotic so that everyone else feels as bad as me, then you're going to latch onto someone like me, who's a person who internalizes all that stuff, you know? And
sorry, there's a lot being said in this conversation.
I'm all over the place.
No, because you're making sense is that sometimes a conversation moves so fast, and you're just hanging on. Yeah, but I'm also trying to process it and understand at the same time. Yeah. So what would someone like her been through? You don't have to.
I would say definitely father issues. Thinking about
understand that
her father, like her father was a bit mean in terms of like spending, and mean in terms of giving to the family and helping the family and helping her. So she's always been she's basically been. She's seen her other siblings be taken care of because of their personality type. Matching with him, he feels the need to take care of like her sister. But she was a headstrong person who's like, I'm gonna do it by myself. And she was brought up that way. She was brought up to that, no, you do it by yourself. If you fall down, you pick yourself up, things like that. But she saw how her sister was being babied, and she realized, oh, okay, I need to do this by myself. And then she acted out because of that, and she internalized it so much. And even her mum, like the same thing with her mum, the same exact situation where she feels like she's been harshly treated, and it's because of her reaction to the fact that she felt alone in certain situations. So she just went, well, if I'm alone, then I'm gonna do everything by myself. And it's almost like acting out. You go, okay, I'm gonna do this and do that, and like you can't say anything, but literally deep down it's a case of, I want you to see me doing this so that I get your attention.
No, I totally understand that, because when you mention father issues and stuff like that, or even away from father issues, it's almost like chaos in your household. And
exactly.
I think when you've grown up with chaos in your household, because it's such a norm, and now because you have, let's say, a little peace or a bit of consistency by actually someone being with you, it's almost like I don't say foreign, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not what you're used to.
Correct.
And there's so many people, like, there's a saying, someone said, like, you can't put saltfish in fresh water. Like, if a fish grew up in salt water, you can't just take them out and put them in fresh water and expect them to thrive, because they're so used to that saltwater environment. So if you move them out of the environment abruptly, they're gonna act out. They're gonna go like, this is foreign to me. I need this environment to be what I'm used to.
That is insane.
And then they're gonna make that. So they're gonna do that.
So your analogies, or the analogies of some of the examples you have given, have been really, really good. Okay, cool. So what do you do for a living? Do you say?
I'm a software engineer.
Okay, that might explain a lot, because there's processes involved with that. Okay, cool. So
I've written in the past. I've been a writer when I was a teenager. So
all right, cool. So what would you? Oh, for goodness sake! Okay, the conversation moves so fast. I've lost my thought.
There's a lot going on, man.
So. What would you do? I mean, I guess you've been through this situation before. What would you do with someone who is or has gone through that? You've met them, you've been through this. Oh, what would you do this time around if you were in that same situation?
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I think I would. It was definitely what the conversation you had with that lady before is about, setting your boundaries, having your non-negotiables, and saying, look, that's like, these things that you're doing don't align with what I want in my life, my peace and things like that. And it's not anything personally against you. It's just the fact that you are a type of person who needs certain things around you, and I'm not willing to align with that. It's about really realizing that the compromise comes from both people. Both people have to actually give up something to get something. And if you feel like someone is actually just encroaching on the things that you said, look, this is paramount. Like, you have to actually sit down and be with yourself and go, look, I know exactly what I want in life and in a relationship and in the people that are around me. I need to make sure that no one is pushing that. And I've definitely, in that relationship, I've let those boundaries get pushed, and in other relationships too. And it's just it also comes with honesty. Because if you're a person who's like afraid of what they're going to react to and afraid of them like moving away or leaving or taking something from you, then you're just gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna say this just to keep the peace. And that,
do you know what is crazy?
You know,
because I know
peace, you know,
as we even close this journey, I've literally finished reading The Art of Negotiation.
Yeah.
And it talks about people who are scared, like some people are scared of negotiating. And I guess what you find with people who are scared of negotiating, and I guess like a very quick example in the book was saying that there's some people in life who are married, or there are people who are married in life who you would have heard they've not really had an argument or anything along those lines before, but found themselves getting divorced, and it's because they've done all their lives between them is compromise.
Exactly, and you have to learn. Like something I'm learning right now is to go for that what's the word, confrontation. You have to allow it to come to you.
100%.
In that confrontation comes the honesty, and then you could actually work from there. But if you're not doing that, then someone's just going to be taken from you, and you're gonna have to pay that bill and pay that receipt
at some point.
Yeah.
At some point, it's true.
It's a futile battle, and it's just definitely unlearning that you have to do. Once you've seen it, it's a bit scary, but give it time and you realize after a while, like, this is definitely for the best, man.
Bro, that's been a phenomenal call. I didn't expect it.
I'm glad, man. I'm happy.
I didn't expect to receive all that. By the way, I'm gonna have to you give me more to think about, because I didn't even process what the conversation I'd heard earlier with that woman. And it's funny you say that, because I picked up another woman who was a little bit older.
Yeah.
And I don't know what we were talking about, but we ended up. She said she doesn't think she's gonna have children, or she doesn't want to have children. But and I asked her why. And she goes, I met people at the wrong time, or I didn't meet the right person when I wanted children. And she goes, as I've dated and got a little bit older, there's certain things I'm not tolerating.
Exactly.
Absolutely not.
Yep, and it comes with time. Like in your 20s and stuff, you're supposed to be like learning all this stuff, but some people, and you just have to thank God that you haven't hit your 50s and then realize it, you know?
Because that thought remained with me as to, wow, like, you've got to a certain age and there's certain things. She was, I'm happy with she was, I've got to the point in life where I'm so happy with myself, I'm unsure what I'm going to do when I start dating someone. I don't know if I'm going to allow someone to encourage.
That's a good thing, because you don't want any and anybody in your space. Like, you should be mad picky, because, you know, it's good for you. And then you find someone who's special, and then you know how to treat it, because you know what you want, you know? And
yo, bro,
this was amazing,
nice meeting you. Yes, definitely add me and we'll definitely chat.
Yeah, for sure, sure. You have a good night, man.
Thank you, you too.
Oh, I'm gonna take a while.
Don't worry, that's fine.
Let me grab my crutches.